The global economy is faltering. The US economy is suffering. Compare most nations right now and you get a similar picture. Governments and central banks have held up markets and created public works projects to fill in the void where the failures are present. What happens when the rug is pulled from underneath us? You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we're going to look at the US, we're going to look at Illinois, and much more. Let's begin. Real per capita federal spending is up 7-fold since 1941. This is the per capita federal spending in constant 2017 dollars, and you're seeing it rise and rise and rise. The government continues to expand. It continues to get bigger. In the US, the founding fathers had this idea of limited government. That doesn't exist. It just continues to get bigger and swallow more and more. Anything it can get its hands on, it does. The exact opposite of what the original intention was. Look at this. State of Illinois. You're seeing it going bankrupt before your very eyes. The at the bottom here, general fund balance and the general fund balance percent general fund, look, into the negatives. It has reached the point of no return. There is no way that the state of Illinois will ever be able to pay its bills. I've shown you the pensions at risk. I've shown you what's happening with their budget. I have described this in detail. One of the subscribers here was asking to do a video on Illinois, and I just happened to run into this information today. And look at what this has presented us with. This crisis that has been unfolding for quite some time. You're looking at the different states and different cities that have been suffering. And Illinois is just one of those. It happens to be a state that has a lot of people, and a lot of people are not doing well. Does that mean that everybody in the state is not doing well? No, of course not. But there are increasing numbers of people that are suffering, and we have to point that out. And the fact is that this is at a time when the stock markets are rising. Therefore, supposedly, the pension funds should be doing well, and everything should just be doing very, very well right now. But there's only one thing that's doing well, and that's the stock market. And it's the US stock market in particular that is doing well. Just a handful of stocks. I talk about this all the time. So look at this. It's very, very important to realize what's happening. Look at it at a deeper level. It's very important. This was sent to me by a subscriber. An estimated 4.1 million people are in financial difficulty owing to missed domestic or credit bills, a major study has found. So what are we talking about here? Where is this? Well, this BBC article, we are talking about the UK. These consumers most likely to be aged between 25 and 34 have failed to pay bills in 3 or more of the last 6 months. This is an unbelievable number. Based on this small sample, 13,000 people, it's suggesting 25 million plus consumers could be vulnerable to financial harm. There's no way that these individuals are going to be able to withstand any form of crisis. Remember, everything is doing great right now, supposedly. If there is a crisis, all of a sudden, all these people that were right at the edge, they're going over the edge. And this is the UK, but I could have told you it was the US, and the same information would be accurate. Time Inc. sets for another round of layoffs. You're seeing this with media in general, that there are many who are consolidating. You're seeing many companies that are getting rid of a lot of people, and there are different reasons for this. There is just the general fact that the mainstream media is really becoming a thing of the past. There is the fact that there's a lot of, well, let me show you here. Consolidation. I've shown you this infographic before. But I really wanted to get into it today, and it's this and one more infographic I want to show you. 1983, 90% of American media was owned by 50 companies. In 2011, that 90% is owned by 6 companies. 6 companies. GE, News Corp, Disney, Viacom, Time Warner, CBS. They own the entire market. 90%. Now think about this. How do you control all of the media that you watch? All you need is 6 people in these positions, highest positions of these companies. 6 people. And you can control all of the media. That's what happens. And that's how it works. A consolidation of power through a crisis will amount to more control, less oversight, and what we're seeing now in the economy. Because remember, when you see the media, you shouldn't think of it as businesses and stocks and people who have jobs. You have to think of this as the propaganda arm for the government. That's what they are. And that's a fact. We have seen it time and time and time again. Some countries are worse than others, of course. And even the mainstream media sometimes does like to tell a little bit of the truth. But look at this. Remember this. What the purpose of this media is. It isn't to report on events that occur. It is to ensure the stability of the public. Making sure they don't get upset when something happens. Making sure that they don't know about certain things. Making sure that certain subjects get the front page news, get the most attention, and others get pushed to the back, if anything at all. That's how it works. One very good example of the way this system is, the corruption, the rot to the bone. This is directly from the SEC's website. Remember, I'm always showing you the exact links. I don't just show you an article that talks about it. Whenever there's a link I can find, white papers, declassified documents, anything, I bring you right to the source. I give you that. If you go to the description of this video, it says sources used in this video. You can click on that. You could see exactly for yourself. Look at this. SEC names Brett Redfern as director of the Division of Trading and Markets, right? Okay, well, who's this guy Brett? Well, they actually tell you exactly who it is. Mr. Redfern joins us from the SEC, JP Morgan. Coming from JP Morgan. Joins the SEC from JP Morgan, okay? He's coming from JP Morgan. We see the revolving door that is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, every time this occurs over and over again, and you have people that deny it. That's the clear and utter insanity that I have to witness every day. That goes on in the mainstream media. That goes on in the alternative media. Before I rant on, I'll show you the last one. Wow. Small font, right? Okay. You may have seen this chart before. I'm pretty sure I've shown it to you before. What are we looking at? All I can see here is really, really small font. Well, I don't want to say the name because, well, you know who is listening. But I hope that you can read that in the center there. I'll try and highlight it if it makes it any easier to see where I'm pointing at. This group of people meets every year and they decide what happens globally. Of course, there are groups that are much more powerful, but don't focus on it as one individual group. Remember their ties. So you have approximately 120, 140 people, and you'll go around, you'll see guys like Kissinger and Summers, Clinton, and there's so many people. This chart here, which I think everyone should see if you haven't already, is just, it breaks down all of their connections. It's so hard to read, in fact, because there are so many, but if I can bring this across, you'll just see some of these, and you could just try and follow these lines in here, and you'll see these different companies, different people, different PACs. I mean, I found some, let me try to bring this up here. MoveOn.org, for example, you know who that is. Trilateral, you're seeing the CFR, you're seeing Brookings, you're seeing all of these. And you could follow that for yourself and see all of these, see how all of this is connected into one another. It's very important because it's not just a one-way street, it's two-way. Look at the people, look at the companies, look at the government, and look how they're all interconnected. They are all one in the same. We have people out there. So let me just say this. Let me take a step back for a minute. The government, the corporations, they're in collusion with each other. We know that. There's the revolving door. They exist only to make sure that government continues to get bigger, more powerful, and those at the highest positions of power get their bribes, okay? Money, money, money for them, nothing for us. That's the way this works. A lot of people now, strangely, maybe they're aware of it, maybe they're not, how this all works, that these companies hold the power. These companies attempt to continue to hold this power for long periods of time. They're not going to give it up. And what do people do? Well, you have all these central banks. We're witnessing the stock market rising. We're looking at it, a few select stocks, Apple, Amazon, the FANG stocks, some others. They've been rising overall over these years. And so many people would suggest that this would be a great time to purchase stocks. If you want to purchase stocks from this point, you can do so. Stocks will probably go higher. I've been saying that for quite a while. Central banks, as long as they're printing money, we will see an infinite rise because, of course, the currency is being devalued. Just choose the right ones. Choose the ones that the central banks are buying, and those will go up. But there is another situation that I feel is not discussed, and I'm really sad about the alternative media choosing to promote this. When you invest in a particular company, you promote that company. You are literally funding that company. Sure, in the grand scheme of things, maybe your $1,000 or whatever it is may not mean much to that company, but in principle, that's what's happening. And if you're going to invest in a company like Facebook, like Google, whatever, any of these, you have to understand that every minute of every day, every second, every piece of data, it's all being put into a database, being tracked, and you fund that. In one way, shape, or form, all these companies are interconnected. This shows you that. But people are funding that system, and it's the system which controls you. If you want to do something about it, then you have to get away from this system, away from these systems as much as possible. Use them to your advantage in some ways. For example, we are using this system I'm on right now to be able to interact. But we're not going to go and give our personal information to it. We're not going to go give money to it. That's the way I feel anyway. That's my personal opinion. That's my comments. That's my criticisms. It's on me. If you have an opinion, of course, share it down below. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. Last but not least, if you found the video informative, I know you'll find my books, The Money GPS and my newer release, Global Economic Collapse, even more informative. You can actually flip through these books. If you go over to Amazon, there are links there. You can click on that, brings you over there. You will be able to flip through the pages of the books to see if you like them. Take care.